Hello, my name is Timothy James. I'm one of the members of the No Labels podcast. I'm doing something new. I'm branching out, spreading my wings. This podcast is called a Quintessential Affect, where we break down and discover what's quintessential about your life, anywhere from politics to entrepreneurship to family to work, or just having a chill day. So I would like y'all to come into my first podcast, and I have a beautiful, lovely guest. Hello, my name is Timothy James. I'm one of the members of the No Labels podcast. I'm doing something new. I'm branching out, spreading my wings. This podcast is called a Quintessential Affect, where we break down and discover what's quintessential about your life, anywhere from politics to entrepreneurship to family to work, or just having a chill day. So I would like y'all to come into my first podcast, and I have a beautiful, lovely guest. She's a black, beautiful woman, an entrepreneur, an author. She's strong in her faith. I want y'all to welcome Miss Keisha. I'm gonna say this last name right, Lapsley.
All right, that's you got it.
All right, I had to really break down my
You
syllables on that. Lapsley. So we're here today to discuss her newly book that she wrote called The Tree of Trauma. And I'm gonna be honest, when I read it, it does open up some wounds, and it is a collection of health and healing, and most importantly, identifying what triggers and what is trauma is about. So join us today as we discover and we break down this. So, Miss Keisha, I'm gonna ask you what inspired you to write the book. What was your source?
I was not inspired. This is one of those books where there was no this was not my idea, not my thought, not my inspiration because it wasn't I did not want to dig into trauma,
Yes.
I did not want to dig into that. But what happened is I was losing. I felt like I was losing in every area of my life. Everything that I was praying for
Yeah.
and well, let me say everything I was praying against, I seemed like I was receiving it.
Mm.
And I was like, God, why aren't I winning? What is going on? What is happening? People give all of this advice, all of these um ideologies,
Yes.
and you're trying this, you're trying that because you're trying to win. But in that, the Lord showed me the answer in prayer. You got to deal with your trauma. And then that's where the book came from.
Trauma is something unspoken in our community, let alone in the world. We harshly embrace it, but we don't really break down the effects and the catastrophic damage that it does to our family and our workplace and our lives. So, what in the beginning, because I read the book, you talked about triggers. So, how can someone understand what trauma does and what the triggers and what to look for?
Well, before you can recognize your triggers, you have to understand your trauma.
All
And what happens with that is when we understand what trauma is, and that it's a spirit. When we understand uh, how trauma is designed to operate in our lives, when we understand what it is, then we can start handling the things that come from it. But when we understand that with trauma, it is something that happens to you physically or something that you've seen, something that you were a part of that has happened, that your eyes have seen, that your body has felt physically. That is something that is an experience that brought you harm
yes.
on some form of fashion. Because let's say, and the reason why I say what we see is because let's say you have a witness who saw somebody getting killed
Yes.
or somebody being, murdered, or somebody being essayed. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't physically experience it, but that was a traumatic experience to see somebody's life being taken from them.
Very much so.
So it's still a trauma thing. But what I do want people to know is this: one, I am not a doctor, psychologist. I am not in the medical field. This is not medical advice. And I want to make sure I put that disclaimer out there that I also have in the book. But this is from the spiritual end, the
Yes.
spiritual side.
Okay. So we're gonna walk by spirit and not by sight on this.
Amen.
All right. So also reading in the book, you dealing with triggers, cause like I'm going through a stroke situation that happened to me, but my fiance saw me collapse,
Hmm.
and so when I was fighting to get back to what I view as a form of myself to kind of deal with that, I didn't have the understanding of that traumatized her.
Hmm.
Because seeing her fiance collapse and be unresponsive, and how that emotionally and mentally affected her, is the result of how she treats me, and anything that looks like it's gonna happen again. The subtleties of things that we go through, like even if a inkling of salt starts to touch my them, she's like, no, 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 don't do that, and I'll be like, a little salt, even though it causes high blood pressure, and you can manage it, it doesn't mean it's gonna cause me to have a stroke. But I never looked at it from her point of view.
Hmm.
She doesn't understand what happened and why it happened. She just know this took place,
Hmm.
and I don't want to happen again, and it affected me. How do we first, as an individual, identify the trauma, but also identify the effects that it has in our loved ones?
Well, here's the thing about trauma. Sometimes people are scared to speak it. And sometimes people feel like it's not really guilt. It's not shame. Um, I don't even know how to identify it, but it's like they don't feel like they have a right to how they feel about it, because it wasn't your trauma. It wasn't
Right,
their trauma. It was the person I love.
right,
So they're like, well, do am I supposed? They won't even internalize it as trauma. They won't internalize that as something, as a traumatic experience for them. They see it as that happened to you, and what they're doing, they are reacting, because now, oh, he has a tremor. You're jumping,
mm-hmm,
because now, okay, I remember that from last time, not understanding that's a trigger,
right,
and you are replaying that traumatic experience, and you're trying to prevent it. And when you're trying to you're trying to prevent the situation, because here's the thing I talk about when it comes to triggers. I talk about the peacemakers, the
yes,
caregivers in the
yes,
book, and the peacemakers, because okay, so when it comes to the peacemakers, are you God's peacemaker, or are you the enemy's peacemaker, based on the trigger that has happened to you or to a loved one? So what you do is, God says he wants us to be peacemakers, right? That's
yes,
the word.
yeah, that's the word.
But when you are handling, okay, let's say for instance somebody is in a domestic abuse situation.
Right,
They see a child sees their parent get their, let's just, for better lack of word, scenario, let's just say it's a man. That child sees their mother beating on their father. And now, so they are doing everything that they can to make sure not to upset mommy. We don't want to upset mommy.
yeah,
So we're going to, because daddy is doing this. Um, and I know that that's going to trigger mommy. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to intervene. So now you're manipulating the situation
okay,
that you can no longer control, that you really have no control over. You're trying to control. When you try to control and manipulate a situation, even though your heart is in the right place, you you end up getting hurt behind it. And this is what I've experienced. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to be the peacemaker, and so I'm trying to make sure that this person um don't do this thing, or I'll go to this person and be like, okay, well, they didn't do this. Well, they're doing this, and I give reasons and excuses for this, and then I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like, so
Yeah.
now I'm manipulating a situation, so this person is calm, this person is calm, and that these two don't come together, because if they come together, it's an explosion.
Can they? Can the spirit of manipulation come from an innocent place?
Hmm. Yes, it can. That's what I was saying. Even though it's coming from a genuine place, it's still manipulation, because now you're trying to control and manipulate a situation that you have no control over. You have, and when you are God's peacemaker, you pray about it. You try to get the two people to come together and talk about it and let them work it out.
Right.
You are not the judge, the jury, the bailiff, all of that. No, you know what? I'm gonna pray about it. I'm gonna pray about it. I'm going to get my hands off of it, and I'm gonna back up, because I went to counseling behind this, and one of the counselor, she told me, and I'll never forget her. She told me, she said, "You're like a tennis ball. You're the tennis ball, but they're the rackets, and you're the one getting hit. They're not getting hit. She said, get out the game.
Sure.
You have to get out the game. So you, and you're trying to control and manipulate the situation, because you know what the trigger is.
Yes.
You know, okay, well, if this happened, I know stuff in to go on 10. If
Yeah.
this happened, I know this ain't gonna be good, and it, you know what I'm saying? So like you are adjusting yourself, and you know what I'm saying, you're taking on more, which damages the peacemaker
Right.
more
Right. Right.
so than all the parties
Right.
involved.
Because you're trying to be God in the situation. You're trying to level set. You're putting you're exhausting, stretching your resources, stretching your personality to make sure the situation doesn't escalate
Mhm.
again.
Right.
And sometimes you get burnt out. Sometimes that person can get frustrated with both parties,
Mhm.
and then it makes them withdraw. Which brings me to our next point. In your book, you speak about wounds,
Mhm.
and you hit a pivotal point to where triggers trauma creates wounds, and sometimes over the years, unhealed wounds, unattended to wounds, wounds that you just chose to forget because it was too much damaging. It's still a wound, and it's still. Can you expound on that?
Yes, and before I do, real quick, I do want to address the caregivers,
Oh yes.
the triggers for the caregivers. And my thing is they see they're trying to take care of the person, but the person who's been taken care, the person who's in need of the care, they have to come from a place of understanding with dealing with them.
Yes.
And it go to counseling as well, because now we need somebody to be able to help us navigate through this area in our lives, because i I experienced a traumatic situation. The caregivers saw it, so now it's like, now they're overbearing, and
Yeah.
they're like, we can't do this, don't do this. They're trying to stop it, and then they get offended, because now you are offended too, because you're like, hey, back up, hold, give me some space, let me
Right.
do
Right.
this.
Right.
And then the person who's a caregiver is offended, because now they like, well, I'm just trying to make sure you're good. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like, this is kind of a funny thing. My dad had a stroke, and the day we got home from the hospital, I sat him on his bed. I sat him on the edge of the bed, and I and I said, "Hey, I'll be right back. Let me go fix all of this up." And he was like, "Well, I want a Coke, and he was like, "I want to do this." I said, "Daddy, but you can't right now,
Just
because you like he couldn't do anything. His was bad." And so Um, Next thing you know, I come in the room. He on the floor.
Floor. Yeah.
He on the floor because he is going to go get that
Yeah.
Pepsi out that bag. Pepsi cans flowing out. They flowing
Oh
all over
man,
the room.
listen, it's I totally get it. So last year my grandfather fell, and it was right around the same time that his wife passed the year before, 61 years. So
Mhm.
he was already grieving. So he had sepsis and he was falling ill, and he's at a certain type of nursing home, and his health started to decline. He was itching to go home because he felt like he needed to be there. So I was like, well, I'm currently out due to an injury. I'll move in with him. Unbeknownst, not understanding what it takes to be a caregiver, how much emotional energy, how much compassion you must have, how much patience you have, I moved in with him. My grandfather was 89 years old, and I respect him. But the level of difficulty I went through and the frustration and the concern that I have for his health, because like you said before, when something traumatic happens, the first thing I think people wants to do is react and get back to them. And sometimes that comes with a very selfish and demanding type of mindset. Well, I want to do this. I want to get back to what makes me feel like an individual again. I want to do the things that I used to do to give me confidence to be who I used to be.
Mhm.
So I won't feel this scared, vulnerable, because as humans, we don't
Mhm.
like to feel vulnerable. We don't like to feel out of control. We don't like to feel like we have to depend on something that we're unfamiliar with. And so, dealing with my grandfather, he would want to get up, he would want to move around, and going back and forth with him like, Grandfather, you can't drive. Why I can't drive? Because this traumatic situation has affected your mobility and your health. And he just wouldn't bear down until a fall had to happen. And then when the fall had to happen, it was almost like something broke within him. And so, me as a caregiver, I was frustrated in the beginning. And then when he broke, I noticed my emotions started to shift.
Mhm.
As he was hurting, I was hurting, and it affected me at my work, it affected me in my normal life because now I'm trying a new thing. Like, and it created a wound. Like, there, I wasn't myself, and my heart and my pain was in the fact that he's not who he used to be.
Mhm.
The hardest sometimes is saying when a traumatic thing happens to you, you begin to lose yourself. You think you'll never be that same person as you was. You think you're less than yourself. You almost think you're being punished
Mhm.
for a situation that you never caused. It never happened to you. And so I totally get how being a caregiver affected up until the day he passed. And that was a newfound pain that I never understood because being a caregiver, you're there to usher him, help him, to grieve with him, to the joy that we had. That pain of having to take care of somebody you love, it created a whole nother wound when he went that nobody was prepared to help me with.
Mhm.
I didn't have an author there saying, this is what you look for. These are your traumas. This is the wound you're going to have. This is what you're going to look like. Like, for most people, do you feel like there's not enough education of that or awareness?
I do got a question for y'all, bro. I just want to I just want one just hearing y'all talk about trauma before y'all get too deep. And I hear you explaining it, and I hear you going in detail. I know you got way more. Uh, my question, just real quick, uh, how does the enemy use trauma against us? Like, how do what do you believe? How do you believe the enemy uses trauma against us? Because we in the faith and we got all things are possible with God and and we know all these things, but dealing with trauma is a very human thing. So how do you, in your opinion, how do you believe the enemy uses trauma to against us as a weapon?
Well, one of the things that the Lord showed me, and this is something He shown me years ago, is the enemy knows who you are, and he is going to start from your childhood. He is not going to wait until you are an adult, until you have formulated thoughts about who God is and coming to the fullness of who you are. He's not going to wait for that. He attacks you in your childhood because whatever the Lord got for you, He going to make it hard. And he goes in and he starts planting those seeds.
Mm.
He starts planting the seeds, and people's like, well, God, why God let something like that happen to, what I'm saying, happen to you or happen to me? Why did God? No, God, God didn't let that happen to you. It
Right.
happened to you because humans are on Earth.
Yes.
So He uses the human who allows themselves to be used to plant seeds in your life, whatever area that is. That may be SA, that may be um, domestic violence, that may be um, what a car accident. It may be, you know what I'm saying. It may be death. It may whatever that looks like. Um, that's how he plants that seed. And so when you are a child, you do not know how to handle those things. Um, Oh, forgive my stomach, y'all. I didn't realize I was that hungry.
The trauma of hunger.
Right.
It's real.
But oh yeah, my stomach is, a little traumatic event. But
I'm gonna pray for you.
yeah. But the enemy plants those seeds when we're children.
Yes.
And that's where he starts, because as a child you do not know how to handle those things that happen to you like that. You do not know, like these children over in Iraq, who have seen the war, who have seen bodies blow up, who have lost loved ones. As a child they don't know how to handle that, but they do know their emotions. They do know, and he knows that when the enemy knows that we are emotional beings,
Yes.
and he knows if we don't know how to regulate those emotions, those emotions can run wild. Like you have, and it can the same thing can happen to two different people, but the outcome can be different for both of them. Like SA, two people being SA'd, one may become promiscuous and one may hide themselves.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it really depends on how you are and how you internalize it. Because when you have things that happen to you, like I had things that happen to me, but as a child, but my parents didn't send me to therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
They didn't even
Yeah.
know to send me to therapy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it, back in our community, I remember growing up, people like, oh, they crazy, she crazy,
Yeah.
because they think it's weak to go to therapy or talk to a doctor or something like that. They think you're weak, even if you even let's talk about it. Even if you want to talk to your parent, even if you want to talk to an adult, someone that you trust, because you're sharing your feelings. That was a problem.
Yes.
That's facts.
Yeah.
You couldn't share your feeling. What's all that? Whatever. And by that time, okay, well then, I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk no more.
Yeah.
So the enemy, he uses that. That's how he uses it. And when we understand that trauma is a spirit, and that all these different spirits come along with that, and that's what I talk about in the book too, is even with trauma and how it's attached to all these different spirits, and they bring their homeboys and their homegirls, and you before you know it, because it's an incubation period too. So when you experience a trauma, even and everything isn't trauma.
Yeah.
Let's break that down too. Everything ain't trauma, but whenever you have a traumatic experience or something happens to you that's adverse to what you're used to,
Yeah.
let's a trial or a test or tribulation, you go into what's called an incubation period. And if you think about an incubator, like my son was in an incubator when he was born,
Yeah.
and you have all that baby has those babies have all kind of tubes flowing through them, and but the parent can't touch them.
Yeah.
You got to put your hands
Through
through
the
the
little glass. Yeah.
right through the gloves. So um, when you're isolated outside of what's being fed to you, through the doctors and them monitoring you, there is nothing else. Um, there is nothing else that is that is there but you and your thoughts and what has happened to you.
So
So, mm,
so 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 basically, how the enemy attacks us, what uses trauma against us, is in our mind. Is basically forming strongholds, forming a way of thinking that's going to keep us trapped.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? As if, for example, like, because I went through this. I had to unpack it in therapy. Believing in believing in God, but not believing that God going to come through for me. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
Right.
That's a real, and obviously that was trauma. And if I would have stayed there, no matter how much God loved me, He would have like, because anyone who comes to God must first believe that He is.
hmm
So if one stops believing that He's going to come through, he cuts the power off, no matter how much God wants to help. That answers me. I'm good. I'm gonna let Tim. But that was I just had that personal question because I know people watching. They like, well, how do we heal the trauma? I, I can hear them on the other side of the, like, that's the only reason they looking. But no, go
Right.
ahead.
But it's identifying, and I say, like, the trauma, it's subtle what the enemy does. It's very smooth. It's like putting on a silk robe. Like, it's supposed to be so comfortable that you don't realize it happened. Like, when I had the stroke and I was at Encompass, I was surrounded by positivity, motivation to get healthy. When I went home, I was excited to go home, be around familiar people, family, interact, do certain things. The depression and the isolation hit me so hard because I realized I wasn't in the incubator of positivity and growth. I was around those familiar faces with those familiar people who may not have understand the level of trauma, having a stroke, and what that does and how to speak to it. And I started to get depressed and I started to get emotionless. And it was like I'm excited to be home, but well, I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want to see my mother. I don't want to answer a phone call. I'm excited to be back.
Yeah.
I'm in my room, but I don't feel like going anywhere. I barely want to eat.
hmm
What what is happening to me? Like, why start to get to a point where it was so smooth of the slope that I slipped down? It was like quicksand. Like, the more I was excited, the further and further from myself, from positivity, from growth, from healing to understanding I was from that. So, like, the enemy is very crafty when it comes to traumatic experience and the wounds, and sometimes he pulls your emotions slowly away. You start to lose more and more of yourself. You stop working on that project, the thing you was excited about to build in your entrepreneurship. You're no longer desire to do that. It's not you, it's that spirit of influence that the enemy's created, and he does a tremendous effect of somehow isolating you to everything that gives you life.
Yes, that's
The
facts.
prayer partners you want to talk to, you don't answer the phone.
I'm about to leave the room. For a second, well, real quick. Uh, you wrote in your books about fruits, and I just real quick, because I'm just going off of Tim real quick. Uh, real quick, it's a quote in your book, and you said, basically God wants fruit out of us,
hmm
and like, with two different trees, one, even though, like, it can look healthy, like, one
Mm.
one is barren and the other is fruit. Like God, like people can't eat leaves. This is
Mhm.
your words. But and you said trauma is a spiritual illness. You know, trauma is a spiritual illness. So how does trauma and fruit what what is that relationship?
Well, trauma is okay. What I say in my book, trauma is after what's in you. Satan is after who's in you. So when it comes to the fruit, trauma unhealed, you are going to bear fruit. If it's a good tree, if it's a healed tree, or unhealed tree, both is going to bear fruit.
Yeah.
But is your fruit, if your fruit isn't good enough for you and it's making you sick, why would anybody need to eat from your fruit if you are not healed? So that's how it coincides, because when trauma is not healed, you are functioning as an unhealed product. You are functioning as an unhealed tree. So, and y'all see it all the time on social media. Everybody on there with their feelings. And it sounds good and people connect to it, but people are getting sick from them trees.
Right.
Yep.
Come on now.
People are getting sick from them trees because you are not healed, but you are connecting to somebody else's pain because
Right.
they understand where you're coming from, but you're not healed, and it doesn't necessarily um um just because it's something that they say, it doesn't mean that it's something that's good for you to eat.
Right.
So that's how it coincides.
Oh, I was reading. You talked about the effects of trauma and the wounds it creates and how to identify it, and it brought upon something called the spirit of death. What is that? What does that look like for the average person who's going through that and doesn't know how to see that?
Okay. So a wound creates a womb. And I want us to think about it as in a pregnancy. Okay? A wound is a seed
Yeah.
that impregnates us for unwillingly, you know what I'm saying? Unwillingly, but it is something that impregnates us and makes and builds a womb. So now that baby, either we are going to miscarry that trauma or we're going to give birth to it. So when we don't when we okay, so like I was explaining to Will earlier, when we experience, whether it's a traumatic experience, whether it's a test or trial, because everything isn't a trauma, when you experience something, it always catapults you into an incubator season. And you can come out of an incubator season one or two ways: with the devil or with God.
Yes.
There is absolutely no in between, because when you come out with the devil, that's your flesh, that's carnality, that's all of that. Because now those memes and social media talking points, everybody's coming from a hurt place, and
Mm.
you are putting that because you didn't take the time in your incubation period to heal properly. And I have dealt with both incubation periods. I have I have been in incubation periods where I go and I isolate, and I'll be like, I want to talk to you, you. I don't want to deal with nobody.
Yeah.
Just, you know what? I'm tired of y'all. I'm tired of lies. I'm tired of this, that, and the fourth. I
I'm
tell
just
you
over
what.
it.
Right. I'm
Mm.
over it. I'm good. But I carried an offense.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It wasn't nothing traumatic, but I carried an offense. So I go in and I isolate, and I don't let the word do what it do, cuz I'm like, "You know what, God, you correct me right on point. Whenever I transgress, whenever I sin, whenever I do, you correct me, and I got to go back and apologize and this immediately."
Immediately, right now.
But then, let them do it to me. Still waiting on an apology. I'm
Right.
I'm, I'm
Mm.
still waiting you to
It's
become,
been 40 years and I still ain't got that. I see them every barbecue and they never said anything.
right. So, you're like, you carry that offense. And so whenever I came out of incubation, I was like, I don't want to deal with them. I'm back out now, but I don't want to really deal with you. I'm good over here. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like I'm straight, bruh. Like and that's me. So when I go I'm straight, bruh, I know
Right.
that lingo I use.
Like you good.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, like I'm straight, bro. But when I go in the incubation period and I allow the Lord to lead me, you get the book of trauma.
right.
You see what I'm saying? You get that assignment because God is going to give you an assignment to get you up out of what you in.
Yes.
And so now when I'm out, I'm like, you know what? You need me, I got you.
Yeah.
I may not deal with you in any other fashion, but I don't have an offense. I don't see you through offense anymore. I'm free, and I'm good. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm good. But how it leads to death is when you come out the incubation period with the devil, because now that's carnality. What the word says, even about the mind, and we know that sin is death.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, I know that if I'm in offense, I'm already in sin because that means I haven't forgiven you, which means
Right.
I'm in torment.
Oh, come on.
So now I'm in torment. Now, you know what I'm saying? And this isn't, I'm not putting this all together, but you know, let's just put this in different situations because I've been depressed. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? I've had suicidal thoughts.
Yes.
I've had anxiety. Like I have been diagnosed with mild PTSD. I have been diagnosed with anxiety. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
I've been diagnosed with depression. So, and that's another stigma. Oh, well then you don't really believe in God. No,
Oh.
no, that's not you.
Like, cause the weapon, God said the weapon may form, but it won't prosper. So the
Mhm.
traumatic effect will happen to you.
Mhm.
The depression will come. It's just not gonna successfully do what it needs to do in
Come
your
on.
life.
Come on.
It never said depression, frustration, anxiety, impatientness, combativeness, verbal abuse won't form. It's just not gonna fully take over your life to where it
Come on.
destroy what God has for you.
That
I
part.
think what I really understand in that incubation period when people are you feel people when you see people and they gone through you heard their story and you're like, man, you don't look like what you've been through
Mhm.
versus people who've been through it and now they're bitter in life. They
Mhm.
mad at God, they mad at everybody else. They sorrowful is a lack of understanding.
Mhm.
It's understanding and a lack of understanding. Like when I went through my stroke and I was sitting in the hospital bed, the first thing I wanted to do was understand what happened to me. Why am I like this? Because if I could understand what took place,
Mhm.
that takes an ease off of, okay, this is my punishment for God.
Mhm.
And some people was like, well, God is trying to atone you. And I was like, God is putting you through. You wasn't listening. I'm like, hold up. Let me do some research.
Right.
Let me look up this blood this the blood clots, the brain bleeds that led to my stroke. Let me understand why this happened, cuz then when you understand why it happened in your part in the situation, it takes you taking blame off blaming God or blaming anybody else. Okay, I took the energy drink when I lost sleep, when I working so many hours and I wasn't proper, that ticked my blood pressure up. That was me. Okay, so this is why it happened. And once I had understanding, then I could, okay, how can I move forward with this, God? Because I understand. I think when people have traumatic experiences, in the incubation period, if you don't understand, you're gonna walk in that carnality, like you're gonna be in your flesh. You're gonna blame other people. You're gonna criticize the other people. You're gonna be vindictive to your family because you lack the understanding of why it happened. Doesn't mean it was your fault.
Mhm.
Just means that this happened to you, and the understanding comes with this is gonna change my environment. This is to change my viewpoint of how my family looks. This is gonna change the viewpoint of how I wake up in the morning. And I think understanding is something pivotal in order to create that healing from our traumatic
Mhm.
experiences. Wouldn't you say?
Yes. And that's I'm gonna say this in a nice way.
Go ahead, bring it in, break it in, bring it in.
But people have to be careful in putting your mouth, because it reminds me of Job. You have to understand the season that you're in.
Right,
Just because something bad happens to you doesn't mean that it was you, doesn't mean that God is trying to atone. Like stop being Job's friends.
right.
Stop being like them. And how about you go seek the Lord on my behalf and see what the Lord says,
Yeah.
versus you coming out your mouth talking sideways and putting something on me that does not belong to me. You see what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yeah.
Like, no, you don't get to put that on me. You are revealing what you think concerning me.
I got it.
Hmm.
You ain't gonna lie, you hit a pressure point. Uh, Expound on that a little bit, because that's one thing I found to be totally true, and it's heartbreaking that when you go through a messy phase that doesn't look good to the public,
Hmm.
and people who you thought would, you know what I'm saying, ride or die, don't necessarily talk about you, which they may, but the part that hurts is when they back away. Like I don't want to be a part of that mess.
Hmm.
Is that what you're speaking on?
Well, and yeah, that too. Because here's the thing. That's why, like, when we have to be careful to say, because I know we hear this in church all the time. We hear this amongst, the church people and different things like that. Oh well, they don't want deliverance. They don't want to
Oh,
change. They don't
yeah.
want this. Wait a minute. Who said I didn't want it? I right now, do you don't even understand where I'm at.
Right.
You have
Yeah.
no understanding, which also lets me know you're not praying for me.
True.
Which also lets me know you don't have my back, because if you did, the Lord would reveal to you what to pray for me. The
Yeah.
Lord will reveal to you what how to minister to me. The Lord now and okay, let me back up before I get hype about this.
Getting in there.
Yeah. Put the foot in.
Because sometimes the Lord will have people to back up from you,
Yes.
because he wants to do something in your life.
Yeah.
Like for instance, the Lord, even though like I'm married, right? I got a
Yeah.
great husband, like he like 100. I ain't got, you know what I'm saying?
Shout out to
Like,
Doug.
yeah, yeah.
Shouts out to
My
Doug.
baby
Come on,
Doug,
man.
yes. But how is it to be a wife and still lose things around you? Lose everything
Ah.
around you. Why? Because and God, even, whether it's friends, whether it's um business partners, whether it's, finances, money, business, whatever that is, you lose everything. And God is like, because I want you to depend on me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, but those are particular seasons. But you have those, and you have to ask God, okay, are they backing up from me because you are allowing this, or are they backing away from me because of what I'm going through right now?
Yeah.
Just because you are on the mountaintop doesn't make you right to be able to look down on somebody else's valley, because you was just there.
Yeah.
You're now on the mountaintop. Don't look at me because you don't like where I'm at. You don't like what you see. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, how about you pray for me? Where you at with that?
Yeah.
Say, hey, bro, sis, I see you going through something. What's up? You don't even have to tell me. I'm gonna pray for you, but is there any help I can provide?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Is there any way, what can I do? But when it comes to that, I'm, you know, people reveal to you how they think about you,
Very much
based
so.
on based on when you're low. Like, when I've been going through this particular season, I got some sisters. When I say I got some sisters who have I mean, they riding for me. Like, so when I get out of this, I know who is in my corner, and
Yes.
I'm not worried about them who left and who running their mouth
Yeah.
and yapping and all that. You can have that.
Yes.
That's cool. That's good. You and God deal with that. I'm straight, cause I got my sisters over here.
Right. You got your tribe.
Hmm.
Right. You mentioned in your book you had a credible story of a testament. You've been in a car accident 7 times. So for the average individual, so people that feels like this thing consistently keeps happening to me over and over again. And sometimes they can blame themselves, or sometimes it's something that God reveals, or something that you're supposed to learn about it. How do you, how did you go about working through the trauma of having to deal with something happening to you over and consistently, one after another?
Well, and I think it's important to say I was in 7 car accidents within 1 year, and only one car accident I was driving.
Come on, man. Let's put clarity to it for insurance
So,
purposes.
right.
Yeah. Hello.
I mean, I was like, I said, it was with other people, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And other people were driving. And I'm like, well, good God. Like, what that did was traumatically, it made me not want to ride with anybody or trust anybody else's driving. It didn't mean I didn't ride with people, but I'm holding on. Sometimes this one lady, I rode with her. And I promise you, I closed my eyes the whole ride because I was like, I need to go to sleep because I'm not gonna make it
Right.
through this
Yeah.
ride. And that was for that was years. Like, um I have actually calmed down a lot when you go through something, time after time after time. um it causes you not to trust other people.
Right.
It causes you to only trust yourself. And um when you start, and that can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing, because it when you start just trusting yourself, that means you also lock him out sometimes too.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you know what, God, I got this. You allowed them seven car accidents.
Yeah. Right.
One was my fault, got
Right.
that. But them other six,
Nah.
yeah.
Nah.
Right.
Sometimes we group God in with human experiences
Mhm.
that he doesn't even deserve. Like,
Facts.
because people put me in this and you allowed God this to happen to me. Sometimes I'm not gonna talk to them, and God, I'm not gonna talk to you. Like,
Mhm.
that's mind blowing how God gets blamed for stuff that he never ordained
Mhm.
or created you to be in.
Mhm.
But because of human experiences, he sometimes have to bite the bullet too.
Mhm.
And in your 7 car accidents, 6 was not yours. So it was a 1 out of 6 percentage that you actually caused it. In the other 6, it does have a collateral damage effect because it
Mhm.
doesn't make you want to build. In general, it could be somebody you could trust for
Mhm.
years, but because cousin Ray with the bad foot want to not look left and get hit, so everybody gets it.
Mhm.
Even the person you trust the most, even your mother, even your brother, even though the ones that has held you down, they sometimes get to cling from one pendulum to the next. I say we
Mhm.
don't do a good job of differentiate or compartmentalizing one trauma to the next, or how to put these good people versus those negative people. Sometimes the worst thing we can do is group everybody in it because it's the easiest thing to do to us.
Mhm.
This happened to me, so everybody catches the fade,
Yeah.
and that's not
Facts.
right.
Facts. And as you was talking, all I could think about was my mom and my dad when I flew home, because he had a stroke and my mom had broke her wrist and all that, and I was flying in, and I was like, "Hey, I'm here." They was like, "Well, we almost there for it." Who? Who? I was like, and my mom cried because she was like, I was like, who picking me up? I know neither one of y'all is coming to get me.
uh,
I had Uber, but I love them. I love them to
right,
pieces. You know what I'm saying? But y'all too right now. Y'all are not the best caliber of people to be
right,
behind the
right,
wheel.
right. You shaky and your arm. You got one arm.
Right.
I don't know.
And so, like, it does it causes you not to trust people. And you build up a wall whenever you continue to go through something. um it takes your it causes you to become insecure.
Right,
Because it takes your security.
right,
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what, let me be secure within myself. I know how to protect Keisha.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Will knows how to protect himself. Tim knows how to protect himself. I'm gonna stay over here. And once it builds a wall, because now you're trusting in yourself. And you have to be careful because you hear the word self, right?
Yeah.
You're trusting in yourself. You are protecting yourself. Like it when something keeps happening, you like, okay, so now, this looks like this. This look like it's about to happen again. No, we not finna do that. And
Yeah.
so I had to when things kept happening to me, I was like, okay, Keisha, I think there comes a level of protecting yourself too. You're not supposed to just be ignorant, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But um, okay, God, should I do this? Should I go here? Should I go there? Should I ride with this person? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if I know you don't, if I know I don't like your driving, I'm gonna be like, I'll meet you there
Right.
because I'm for for one.
No, you go ahead. I'm a ride.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a drive.
I'm good. You know what I'm saying? So, um, I think we have to give it to God because when you constantly go through something, you can't handle it on your own because it takes a piece of you every single time.
Yes.
So you definitely have to give it to the Lord and let Him handle it and give Him the broken piece. And because we have to understand, trauma is brokenness. It's and trauma is brokenness. You
Yes.
know what I'm saying? So like it breaks you. And if it keeps happening, that means you're being broken into more tiny little pieces. Think about a shattered mirror. If you take that mirror, you take a big mirror and you drop it and it shatters, but then you pick up smaller pieces of that big piece and you drop it, it's going to shatter some more. Those are all broken pieces and they all belong to God. They don't belong to us. We
Amen.
have to give it to Him because He is the one who's going to put that thing back together.
Yes. Yes.
Real quick, I I agree with all that, and I'm I'm experiencing it. Just real quick, just for the viewers, what does it look like for one to do that, to give it back to God in real time?
In real time, and I know this like cliche, but what comes from it is the tree of trauma. You know what I'm saying? That book. Whenever you give it to God, look at what's produced. And when it's produced and other people read it, now they come into an understanding
Yes.
and they get the help that they need. Because when as I wrote that book, there were certain situations that I still thought about. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, okay, God, you got to get me through this because I don't want this pain connected to me anymore. Every when I was in when even the deliverance part of the book, I wrote that in my closet for hours. I was in my closet for hours writing that. I did not that part of the book. I did not come out the closet. It was in that prayer closet. I had to get real with God and I had to lay it out before Him. I said, God, forgive me, forgive the people that I hurt. Because we have to understand too that when we go through a traumatic experience, we were hurt, but we also hurt other people. So, God, reconcile because reconciliation is a ministry.
Yes.
And that's the word. It's a ministry. I need to reconcile myself unto God, and I need to also reconcile those people who hurt me back to Him too.
Yeah.
There was a situation I can't really get into it. Um, I can't really get into it, but there was a situation um, where people were close, where people were close to me, um, and I grew to based on the things that they were doing to me. I grew to hate them. Bottom line, we went I went through trauma with them. Trauma. And I said, and it kept breaking me. Like I was going to have surgery. This is just to give you an inkling of it. Them people had me so mad. Like I'm a whole Christian, living for
Yeah.
God, but I'm ready to swing. I'm ready for you to pull up.
Yeah.
Like,
At the drop of a dime,
yes,
you can
I'm
get these
ready.
hands.
Like there was one situation I was so mad that I couldn't even go to sleep. My husband woke up when we woke up the next morning because I finally went to sleep because I prayed and I said, God, please give me peace so I can get some sleep. When I woke up the next morning, my husband, he was trying to play, play with me. He was up, and I don't mean that in that kind of tone. Like, he was joking around and stuff like that, and I just wasn't in the mood. And when I told him everything that was going on, he handled it because I told him, I said, "Oh, I'm ready." I was like, "I'm about to send a text and say, just pull up." You know what I'm saying? So, I was supposed to have surgery, but they was like, "We can't do nothing about you," because my blood pressure was so high. They could not. They was like, "We got to get it down before we do
Yeah.
surgery."
Yeah. That's how they do that.
That's how angry and how much offense I was in when I say, like, um I was at stroke level.
Yeah.
I was at stroke level. And I said, "Ain't no way somebody going to have me at stroke level." God started ministering to me about the ministry of reconciliation. I got to reconcile myself. For one, I got to release them. That's what it is, real time. You release the people that hurt you. Stop holding on to them, because let me tell you, when you hold on to people that hurt you, when you hold on to that traumatic experience, you're holding, nothing can get
Not for
loose,
nothing.
not even the trauma.
And they're not even worried about it. They
Mm-mm.
home flipping chicken. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Talking about the game. They're not remotely concerned. And you're over here harboring so much of animosity and frustration and thinking the mindset is you're thinking like they're plotting against you 24/7. Realistically, man, they over here about to go get some wings.
Mm-hmm.
They can care less about your situation. And so,
Well, sometimes they ain't plotting their tunes, but sometimes I'm telling you what I know. Sometimes these people be out here doing stuff. They be plotting stuff on you. And you right though. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? But there are people who, like, they get up, and because witchcraft is a part of that too.
come on now.
They getting up and they like, okay, um let me go to this witch, let me go to this voodoo priestess, or whatever the case may be, and let me try to put something on them,
Yeah.
and come, like, now they I don't mean to cut you off, but there's some, yeah, yeah.
So, so uh, in your book, as an entrepreneur, as you are, you was starting a business, a bakery, and I heard your red velvet and banana pudding was you know what I'm saying, based upon Willie was that opioid substance that's in there. You need to get it.
Hey.
You were starting on the beginning of walking into a new territory, a new expanding your territory that God gets you has for you, and you're seeing your dreams come true. Your vision is about to be turnkey, and then you had a traumatic experience that postponed your vision. How did you and what happened and how did you work through that?
um well, I've been baking for years. I've been doing that, but I had been doing that for many years. But what happened is it wasn't a traumatic experience. It was still an experience that I had, but I ended up falling at a local restaurant, but I ain't gonna bust them out. But they don't. That's why I'll never eat there again,
They don't wax their
because they
floors.
don't they don't take care of their customers. Yeah.
They floors greasy, y'all. Don't trust. Them.
So, I fell at that establishment, and when I fell, I had to immediately go to the ER because I had um, pain just screaming throughout my body, through my neck, my shoulders, my arms. Like, I couldn't even sit up in my husband's truck, and so I had to go through that for. I was in physical therapy for almost 2 years. a year and a half, because it was like I had to go for one area, then go for another area, and all, like it was just wow, it was just crazy work. And so um it took everything I had. I had, see, certain things will cause you to stop for a period of time, and you have to allow that time.
Okay.
You cannot rush that time. I tried to rush that time, but here was the problem. I couldn't stand for long periods of time. My body, my back, because the pain in my back from the fall as well. Um, it, like, I could barely move. Like, I would have, my daughter would help me up the stairs because I couldn't do it. My hands wouldn't my hands couldn't grip the piping bags and
Right.
like it needed to. And if it did, it would like it would stay, like I couldn't move it. I would have to open it up. Like, all of that was happening. I had pain shooting through. So I was like, you know what? I said, I need to back up, and you have to allow that time. You got to heal first. Just like in the physical. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have to heal first and take that time. So, like, for instance, just sidebar, this week, this was the first week that I'm up doing, like, I'm up moving, driving. I hadn't driven since August, since October 6th. This week I'm actually driving. Like, I've been in the bed dealing with pain medications and because I was in a car accident. This one I was driving, but I hadn't been in a car accident in over 20 some years.
Right.
So, but um, even still, like, with um what happened a couple of years ago, I had to back off. I had to heal. I said, okay, da da da, go through physical therapy. I got to go through what I got to go through. And once I was out of that, then I could start back little by little.
So where can we find the book?
We can find the book on, it's, you can go to Amazon, you can go to Barnes and Nobles. It's on all of those sites. But if you want an autograph copy with, some little
Okay, a little
tidbits,
penmanship,
then you
you
can
know.
come on and go ahead to my website, www.arthurklap.com, and you can order it from there.
Okay, and speak a little bit about your ministry. What do you call it? The
Fortified Champs. That I
Yes.
have a YouTube page. Is called Fortified Champs, and it's about equipping the saints of God with the Word, not with a bunch of fluff, but with the Word. Because right now we need the Word. We need to be built up for what's coming, because everything that is coming to question our faith. Everything that is coming to question whether God be God. Everything that's coming is to question who He is and who He is in you. Because if the devil can make you question who he is, he already got your faith unraveled, and the next thing you know, you're backslidden. So, um, that's what Fortified Champs is about. It's about being fortified for what's to come.
Wow.